St. Louis County. Everybody knows that I had concerns about how the county chairperson, Mrs. Rita Hurd Days, had been mistreated, and the lack of support that she'd received. Well, I needed to say this just for the benefit of those who might not understand my position there. I was reacting to what I saw as a lack of support from African American leadership and what have you. It didn't necessarily have to be Miss Days. Could have been Tashora Jones. Could have been Cori Bush. Could have been any other African American woman or person that I thought had been mistreated. I mean, I've been on a mission for 35 years in radio to stand up for people and be a voice for African American community being, treated fairly and what have you. So that's the approach that I took. To that end, we have a young man from Jennings. He's going to challenge the leadership in the First County Council District. He's going to challenge Miss Days. He is Terry Wilson. He's an affable young man. He's 39. He was 39 whenever I got this. And he's been to the Voices studio, and we certainly wanted to be fair to him, give him an opportunity to come on and talk about how he sees himself as it relates to a new generation of politics. Have we moved away from, in his mind's eye, from the civil rights aspect of being a black elected official? How's he see himself? Where does he see himself in all of this? Terry Wilson. Happy New Year, Mr. Wilson, Councilman Wilson.
How you doing? Happy New Year, Mr. Hank Thompson.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for having me on, and I just like to say Happy New Year and hello to your listening audience.
Well, Terry, listen, it was our privilege and certainly our duty and our responsibility. We didn't want to ignore you, not at all. We're not, we're impartial.
Yes,
we're impartial. We're just about, you guys being treated right. And we just concluded a conversation with Wiley Price. We talked about the need. And that was the other thing that concerned me in St. Louis County, about St. Louis County politics. I'm looking for unity. That's how African Americans have traditionally made progress.
Yes, sir.
That we be unified. Now, it doesn't mean you can't run against somebody. That doesn't mean that at all. But
right.
It means that we have a larger responsibility, perhaps, than your white counterparts. We're trying to make up. We're trying to catch up. We're trying to make sure that a lot of people who have been left behind can join mainstream life, can enjoy all of the wonderful benefits of living in St. Louis County. You pick it up. Tell us where you see your role.
I definitely see my role right where you just left off. I started as an elected official when I was 27 years old, and here it is now that I just turned 40. God bless.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed to see 40 years old, but I came up, I told you I was 27 years old, so I was around a lot of older politicians, and one thing that I was very good at learning and listening. And so I learned and I listened from a lot of folks that came before me, like your Elder Waltons and your Ted Hoskins, which like you mentioned, it's okay to run. And I ran against those two this last election for committeeman, and I was very successful. But I used a lot of those things that I learned in terms of building relationships, because at the end of the day, things don't move without relationships. And that was one very important lesson that I've learned from folks that came before me, is that you have to build relationships in order to get things done. And, at some point you have to say, all right, when is it my time to play a specific role? And I think sometimes we get caught up in these positions and we don't know when to say, hey, it's time to pass the torch and still be of influence in the background, because everybody got a role to play, and you can still be effective being in the background,
mm-hmm.
at the table, or being elected. But my thing is, at what point is the right time? And so when no one defines that, you as a leader have to seize the moment. You know what I mean? I've been working in this community for a very long time. I learned under all of the leadership before me. I'm able to unify. That was one thing I prided myself on when I joined the Jennings School Board about 11 years ago. It was a lot of dysfunction and it wasn't unity. And once we became unified, we were able to get some things done. We were able to hire some dynamic leaders. We were able to change the graduation rate. We were able to build new buildings. We were able to upgrade facilities. We were able to rename facilities after accomplished African Americans. We just renamed our middle school after Rosemary Johnson, who happens to be our first African American school board president, which I was able to serve with and learn under. We were able to do that. And when I say know when it's your time to move on, you just got to know when your time is to move on. We're
not. Excuse me. I have to say this. We're not known for that. I like to speak proudly, but I must speak truthfully about our politics. A lot of our guys hang on way too long, and we don't groom each other, groom young people to take that that leadership position. I don't know. That's just not our strong suit. But when you said unify, you used the word unify, and that's big to me because I like the idea of speaking, and that doesn't mean that we can't have some diversity. But I think when on some issues we need to speak as one voice.
Right.
There's no room here for debate, if you will. The debate comes before the statement is made.
Absolutely.
You spoke of unity on the school board. What do you mean by that? Who were you unifying on that school board?
So I unify. So if you don't know, it's 7 board members. And when you have more than 2 people in anything, it's going to be really hard to navigate different personalities. People have different preferences. But one thing that we came to an agreement on, we didn't necessarily like everybody personally or personal preference or even their politics. But one thing that we did unify on was the issue. And the issue was our children. And so we decided to have those healthy debates, but also keep the children at the forefront when we're making our decision. And so once that decision is made, we agreed that if it's in the best interest of the children, we're going to walk out the door unified. Whether I was on this side or not, we're going to walk out the door unified because it was in the best interest of the children. And I think that best practice is what helped our school board and our school district function to be one of the best school districts, best urban school districts, not just urban, but just best school districts, not only in the St. Louis region, but in the country. And I'm very proud of the things that we were able to accomplish while I was on the school board. And like I said, at the end of the day, we don't have to unify around our personality or our likes. We should find a common ground and unify around that issue that affects the people who put us in these positions. Because without the people and the taxpayers, we're not there. Yeah. That's who we're serving. And so I think we tend to forget that sometimes as leaders when we do get in these positions. Some folks get blinded by the fact that they are on a pedestal, if you will. And some people forget that the sole purpose of why you are there. And also remember that you don't own the seat that you're currently occupying. No one has ownership of the seat other than the voters. The voters own that seat. You were just chosen and selected to take space in that seat at the moment. And we have to always remember that as well. Like we don't own any of these seats. That we hold, and I think once we get past that, we can do some things a little different. And like I said, that was one of the things that I learned up under the folks that came before me and my mom. My mom, she's the mayor of the city of Jennings.
Okay.
And my mom, she's real big on pushing the folks behind her to do better than her. And my mom, and I think she got that from her her foundation of being an educator. My mom is a retired principal and special education teacher. So, I learned a lot of those things from her, and I apply those things today. So that's where I stand.
Just as an aside, well, maybe not necessarily as an aside, but some concern that your courts, your municipal courts, were still, exacting a pound of flesh there from people who happen to, find themselves in your traffic courts or something of the sort. Have you heard that? I'm sure you've heard that concern expressed.
Oh, yeah. The city of Jennings, along with other municipalities, had a lot of issues in the past that people are cleaning up now.
Okay.
It didn't happen overnight, but we can't clean it up overnight either. But we have reaped what was sown before us, and it's our responsibility to clean it up, because at the end of the day, the voters don't care about what happened before. They care about what are you doing right now to fix that. And so one of the things we were able to do, we were able to appoint the first African American female judge to the city of Jennings. And so when you have folks that look like you and come from the place that you come from, they can relate to the folks that is serving, you tend to get a different outlook on things. Our judge has looked into alternative sentencing in terms of community service versus just dipping into someone's pockets, or looking for different ways to collaborate with our prosecutor, Wesley Bell, and a lot of the reform he has instituted when it comes to low-level offenses. But in terms of turning things around in the court, it's going to take time, but we are making those strides, and I think we're doing a very good job at going in that direction. But yes, I definitely I would be lying to you if I said there weren't any issues in our courts. But like I said, that's something in the past that we have to clean up right now as the current administration. But we make no excuse for it, and we accept the challenge.
Well, I like that. That's very well said. Your response, the fact that you would acknowledge it. We had a guy a few weeks ago who said to him that your town has been accused of, kind of putting it to the citizens to make up some of that traffic. The loss of that traffic revenue, as mandated post Mike Brown, you can only have 1%. Guy said he know nothing about that. So, Mr.
Thompson, as a leader, you have to acknowledge what happened before you can even move forward.
Right. You got to know it's cancer before you treat it. That's for sure.
And if you don't acknowledge it, you can't move forward from it, because one, you're living in denial that there isn't an issue there. You have to acknowledge that, and those are the things you take on when you take these positions. That comes with the territory. Like, as a new leader, you don't come with a clean slate. You come with what was left, and you have to one, implement those ideas that you campaigned on, but you also have to still recognize and fix what was currently there when you took over. It's not going to just erase because you took over. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's as leaders, we have to. That's part of that accountability and responsibility that we must acknowledge and we must take on when we take these positions.
I would ask you this as we're running out of time here, Councilman. Terry Wilson, representing the Second Ward in the city of Jennings. What about your ability to work with other African-American elected officials? How important is it that there is a consensus that you guys do have a collective effort in St. Louis County? How important is that to you?
Oh, it's very, very important to me, Mr. Thompson. And as a matter of fact, it's not only important on a county level. It's important. It's important that the county elected officials are in sync with the local municipalities, that they are in sync with their state representatives and state senators and their federal government. Because anytime there's an issue on any one of those levels, it trickles down and it affects the area that we represent. And if we're all in constant communication, we're all in sync in what we're saying, our messaging, and what we're actually doing, it will make it easier for us to fix the problem that is before us. And I think if we do a better job at building professional working relationships and not necessarily social relationships, we need to focus on professional working relationships, because we have a professional working relationship. You can tackle those issues that affect our taxpayers, that affect our children, that affect our seniors, and that affect everybody that live, work, and play in our communities, because they all affect us. And I think it's very important that we are all on the same page.
And I think that it's important that we end there, too, Mr. Wilson. You've acquitted yourself very well.
Yes,
we wish you the best for the year of 2022. We wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors. We look forward to speaking with you again, my brother.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me, and you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the new year.
Thank you, sir. Take care of yourself. Okay, folks, that's going to do it for us. Jason, real quickly, what you got coming up?